Hello, how's everybody doing? Still a little early, but I thought I'd do a little bit of free sketching before we do the actual stream, or the actual stream, like, topic, I guess. So, yeah, you guys who are here early get to just chill and watch me do some free drawing. Feel free to, like, I don't know, ask me. You guys can just chill and chat before we get started on the actual thing. It's always random. Never know. Besides, that would be Evie, since she's never here. I feel like Vin's been pretty consistent so far. Kevin, usually it's Kevin. But then I feel like it's been a little not too sure. But yeah, usually it's Kevin. But yeah, we'll do some just free sketching here. Found you guys can kind of guess what I'm drawing. I feel like this one not too many people will know who it is, just because I don't think a lot of people watched the show, so we'll see. And also it might look a little janky, I don't know. We shall see how it goes. Evie is never here. Sometimes she shows up, you know, sometimes they pop in to say hi for like 1 second and then boom, gone. So you never know. You might spot a wild Evie every now and then. So, yeah, I feel like I haven't done these in a while. I used to, back before like stream started, I'd be like, oh, okay, we're early. Let's do some quick random draws before stream starts, and then we'll jump into it. Completely unrelated. Can someone teach me how to animate? I want to be an animator on YouTube, but YouTube tutorials aren't great teachers. Yeah, it's pretty tough learning how to animate. Like, in general, it's going to be kind of tricky. So I'd say classes are great. Right now I have an animation class running, so if you have time and you want to like catch it, that's probably a good place to start. Just having like someone show you the ropes, like the general ropes, is always a good place to start. Whoops. And take these lines away. Got like 4 minutes. But how's everybody doing? Yeah. The one time she was here, yeah. And is it free? No, unfortunately it is not free. The only free quote-unquote classes that we offer at Wing Canvas are the YouTube stuff. So if we make a video on a certain topic or the live streams, those things are free. But the actual classes themselves are not going to be free, unfortunately. But, you know, gotta make a living. Yeah, it's just how it is. But if you can't do it, you know, the best place to start, I always say, is, you know, you can always go to the library. I know this sounds weird, but go to the library and just rent out Richard Williams' book. Honestly, like, that is a good place to start as any. If you are like, oh, I really can't like afford any classes right now, that's totally fine. But then he's like, oh, you can just check out Richard Williams' book. You can go to the library, check out the books there. The library, exactly. You guys all forgot about the good old library, the best place to start when it comes to books. So can't forget good old library. Library. Oh man, this is taking me way longer to get down than I thought it would. Does anybody know, by the way, who I'm drawing? I was already like, yeah, this is gonna be very obscure. I don't think anyone's gonna know who I'm drawing. But back then, like, if I had enough time before stream officially started, I would do these like quick drawings and see if anybody's able to like guess what character I'm drawing. But I haven't done that in a while, so I thought like, oh, you know, today I'm gonna make sure I have a little bit of time beforehand and see if I can get some quick drawings done. But this one might be a hard one because I don't think a lot of people watched this show because it did not get the best reviews, I think. You volunteer at the library? Oh, that's cool. I got mac and cheese, but I had to go to church, so it's been meh. Wait, so you like made mac and cheese before you went to church, or you went to church and then ate your mac and cheese? So it's like it's cold? Like why is it meh? This is something strange. So I went to like Buffalo not too long ago, and I noticed that in America you guys don't call it KD. Like it's just called craft dinner. I never knew that KD was a Canadian thing. Who in chat can confirm? Nimona. Someone guess Nimona. It is not Nimona. I can see like the hair. Maybe once I draw this part, you guys might have an idea as to like where this is from. Oh, it's too small. I'm gonna shrink it. KD is the initials. How Canadian of us use it? Yeah, that I was like, wait, Americans also have KD, but they don't call it KD. That's bizarre, Kevin. Like, that's just how it is. But nobody in America calls it KD. That's so bizarre to me. So hopefully what I'm drawing right now is a little hint as to what it is that I'm, or where the property in terms of like what I'm drawing is from. But I don't feel like nobody will know because no one watched the show. I didn't watch it either, but I thought like I had this like the actress who plays this like has been showing up a little bit occasionally on Pinterest, and I was like, oh, she has actually a pretty cool like outfit and like cool design, but too bad nobody watched the show. So I don't even know if they're gonna get a second season, but yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I'm not making this up. I have it on Pinterest in front of me, and I'm just trying to see if how quickly I can draw it before the stream starts officially. Oh, it's 3:01, so I guess we'll be starting soon. I just want to quickly finish this before we start. Let me see. I feel like I'm missing a few things, but it's fine. Drew this in like 5 minutes or something. You going into wait, what is but since when did UK start having Five Guys? Oh, you guys start having Five Guys? Is that it? Is that not a good thing? Do you not want Five Guys? I love Five Guys. Five Guys is great. I was actually like thinking about going tonight. Get some Five Guys afterwards. Although I feel like I should eat it fresh, like once I get it, because I always like bring it back home and like watch something while I eat it, and it's always not the best. I'm pretty sure I should like eat it right after I get it. So yeah. And as always, let me see how she looks. Actually, that's not too bad, considering I didn't do any like flipping or anything. It's a little off, but it's fine. Eyes are a little odd, but yeah. For 5 minutes, it's not too bad. Let's see. My dad got me mac and cheese, but I did have to go to church. I don't really do GH other than, okay. Jeez, okay. That went from just simple like what's wrong with mac and cheese and like church to a whole whole other tangent. I agree. So no one knows what this is. Okay, this is a character. I don't even know what this character's name is. It's a character from I think it's her name is Shin Hati. Hati from Star Wars Ahsoka. And clearly no one knew where it was because no one watched Ahsoka. Neither did I. I love Star Wars, but I have not watched any of the new stuff. I didn't even finish Andor, even though people said Andor was good. So, yeah. Okay, bye T-Mix. Glad you could join us for like a little bit of the intro. Don't know if you're still here, but yeah. Library. I've been meaning to go to the library because I was thinking about checking out some anatomy books, like figure drawing anatomy books, because I like the library. I wanted to go, but Kevin, believe it or not, I twisted my ankle again playing volleyball. So I surprise, I did not. I'm like, I can't really go anywhere now. I mean, like, it's fine, it's healing, but I'm like, go all the way to the library and walk around the library with a twisted ankle is probably not great. Okay, so I guess we'll get started. Just give me a sec and we will get going. Are we doing submissions? Oh yeah, we are doing submissions. I know it's November, but we are going to be doing the last bit of submissions from October, and then it's going to be the new ones. So yeah, I caught on to some of the last bits of submissions, and we're going to go through pretty much everybody that's submitted, I think, after phase submission. But yeah, so without further ado, I guess we'll start officially. So hello everybody and welcome to our stream. My name is Josh and today we are going to be doing an animal walk cycle. So I hope you guys are excited for that because to be frank, I have not really animated an animal before, so we're all going to be kind of learning how to do an animal together, but kind of similar with any kind of animation principle. Like, obviously not everyone's animated everything before, so you know, it's all about the learning process, and it's going to be fun. We're going to kind of go through it and walk through it together. But if you don't know who we are Wing Canvas. We are a YouTube channel where we make art tutorial videos on tips, tricks, and drawing advices to better help our fellow art nerd in this art community of ours. Our mission at Wing Canvas is to make art education easily accessible to everyone, so be sure to tune in live for free lessons every Saturday and Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern. If you are an art nerd too, be sure to check out our links to our social media in the description below, and check out our website for our class offerings where you can get critique, guidance, and encouragement from our instructors, because we're not just a YouTube channel, we are a school of illustration. And we also want to personally thank our incredible Patreon and YouTube members who support us in making free art education content possible. Members get access to tons of perks like exclusive chats with our creators, weekly live critiques on Discord, class recordings, digital art working files from our streams, and discounts on live programs that have a limited amount of spots. If you want to help support the channel or accelerate your learning, consider becoming a member. And I think that was the cleanest that I've ever just ran through the intro. So I was like, you know what, this time I'm not going to try to ad-lib anything. I'm just going to go right to it. Just going to read through the whole thing. But yeah, so welcome everybody to our stream. And today, like I said, we're going to be doing an animal walk cycle. And it's going to be it's very similar to a human walk cycle, but obviously the weight changes and flips are going to be slightly different. So even though I've never really animated an animal before, the principle should be the same. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see if I can pull it off. So that's kind of how I'm angling this stream today, is going to be like, let's see how I do pulling it off. And luckily it is a 2-part stream, so I don't have to rush it too much today, and I get a chance to take a little bit of time doing the design and then walking through the breakdown and blocking process of an animal, doing some research to show you just like the whole process of what it's like to animate something that you've never really animated before. Like, I've drawn animals, but I've never animated an animal. So it's going to be interesting to just demonstrate to you like what it's like in the moment when you get tasked to animate something you've never done before, how to do the research, what to look up, how to approach the design of the character in making sure that it works for animation. Because that is the whole thing when it comes down to animation, is that sometimes you're not going to know how to animate every single thing that you animate. Just because you've animated a quadruped before doesn't mean you know how to animate, like, let's say a whale or a dolphin or a mermaid swimming in the water, or you know how to animate a bird or a dragon. Like, everything has its own quirks and principles when it comes to animating. So when it's animation, it's not just drawing, it's also learning the movement and the mechanics of how something moves. So yeah, it's all going to be a learning process. And with that being said, I guess we'll start with the usual. So before we go into the actual thing, I usually start with the submissions. So let me just take all the intro stuff away, and we're gonna do our last submission. By the way, everybody can see my screen, right? Like, I'm noticing on YouTube it's still the starting screen, so I don't know if you guys should be able to see it properly, right? Because on my YouTube live, yeah, you can see it. Okay, you can see my canvas, great. Because on YouTube it's still the starting screen for some reason, but I guess it's because I took away the chat, so it's delayed. Okay, well. If you guys didn't know, every month we do a monthly challenge, and yes, it is November, like I said in the beginning, but we wanted to finish off, or I guess I wanted to finish off October's submission. Originally, it was supposed to be Jesse to cover it, but if you guys didn't know, Jesse caught a little bit of, I don't know, the start of fall sickness. It's not really the start of fall, but like fall sickness-ish in a way, so she wasn't able to stream and didn't cover the last bits of October submissions, so I'm basically covering the last bits. There wasn't too many submissions, so luckily I don't have to do like 10, but yeah, gonna be doing the last few pieces, so we're gonna get started right now. The first one is by Tricks, and if you guys didn't know, Kevin and Joanne, I believe, have been working hard at coming up with topics and themes for every day and every week for the October art challenges. And so I'm just gonna see what each one was, because I don't have it memorized. I am not a waiter. Don't have all the menu memorized, unfortunately. Let me see. What are the different themes? Okay, so I believe this one, because not everybody put down the theme that they were doing, so I think this one is cosplay ball or midnight masquerade-ish kind of a thing, because it looks like a good time. It's a party time with all these like different monster, creature-ish type of characters, and this piece is done by Tricks. I love all the poses done in this scene. I love the expressions. I just like how interactive this whole sequence is, and the great colors and great lighting. I like that it's very minimal. So Tricks, great job. I'm guessing that it's the cosplay or midnight masquerade, but if I'm wrong, let me know. I don't know if you're in the chat, but yeah, great drawing. So thank you, Tricks, for submitting in the last few days of October. And then the next one is by someone that I haven't seen on stream in a really long time, but this is by Sue Jammin. So thank you, Sue, for submitting. I think you've done a great job with rendering the pumpkin. It's the way it's disintegrating. I've actually never seen that before. It's really cool. I like how it's all broken up into pieces. I love the way the stem is rendered. Very kind of unsettling and grimy and gritty. I like it. This one probably is going to be Smug Pumpkin, I'm guessing. But yeah, no. Great piece. I love it. Love the way it's rendered. So great job, Sue Jammin. Haven't seen you in a while on chat, but hope you're doing well. And then the next one is by Zed is Tired, and this one I'm going to guess that it's like the second last week, haunted chocolates, deceptive treats. I don't know, one of those maybe. It's just a character asking for treats for Halloween. But yeah, great lighting. Love the character design. Love the way the face is rendered and the lighting on the face. That's really cool. So Zed is tired. Great piece. Love the way it's drawn. So thank you for submitting. And then our last one for the month. This one is by Boxy Boy number 2. And I love the traditional drawing piece. This one, again, also Midnight Masquerade. I don't know if we've actually done this one now that I'm thinking about it. But again, great drawing. I love that like some of you guys are doing traditional and submitting it, because most of the times we get digital pieces. So it's nice to see a good old traditional drawing every now and then. So yeah. How the missions go. Josh does it early, Iggy does it midway, Jesse just doesn't, and Faye does it whatever. Is that actually the pattern? That's kind of funny. He doesn't memorize everything I type. I know, Kevin. I'm so sorry to disappoint. I don't memorize everything. What do you guys do if you don't get enough submissions for the month? Do you just skip it, or do you guys get something from older other prompts? I don't think we've had that issue just yet. Like sometimes maybe we might get a lower number than usual, but it's always enough to highlight, at least for every stream. At least so far for the streams that I've done. I've never had to skip the challenge, so unless we're doing like some kind of special stream or sponsor stream where we don't have enough time for it. But other than that, I think I've never had to skip it. I've always been able to mention the challenge, so there's that. But yeah, thank you everyone for your submissions. I'm just gonna go through them again, but if you guys are curious, every month we do have a new challenge, and I think this month is Novembones. I think that's what it's called. Let me check. It is, yeah, Novembones. I love the name. There are already some submissions in there, so get at it, everybody. This one's gonna be cool. It's always fun drawing some skeletons. But if you guys don't know where it is, our challenges are on Discord. They're posted every month, so you guys are notified with quite a lot of time, and you have the whole entire month to work on them. So you don't have to do one like every day, but just like one a month is already good enough. And who knows, you might get it highlighted or mentioned on our stream. So it's always great to see the community kind of post their drawings and kind of post their attempt at the challenge, because we always get some great submissions of varying skill levels, varying styles, varying mediums, so that's always great. I'm not seeing much people on here, and you seem familiar with the other people on here. Is this a stream for everyone? Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, anyone can hop onto the stream. There's not like exclusive or for anybody in particular. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's it for the challenge, and now we're going to get into the actual stream itself. I'm just going to group these so I don't have to worry about them. Oh, actually, before we continue, I should save just so that I don't accidentally crash. Let's see. Because Krita sometimes crashes, and that's not great. Let's say Wolf Walk Cycle. Josh. Actually, what day is it today? Should put the date on. 2024 11:03. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, if you guys didn't know, I posted a poll for what you guys wanted for me to animate, and you guys wanted me to animate a wolf, so dang, okay. So we're gonna do that, and I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to find a wolf picture. Let me see. Wolf. Actually, I should do that on the reference over here. Put that around here. I'm just gonna drop some wolf pictures from Pinterest, just so I have an idea as to like the, you know, it sounds weird, right? Like we all know what wolves technically look like, but it's like, do we though? So instead of relying only on my memory, I'd rather try to find some references of some wolves, so I know that what I'm working with is accurate to a degree, obviously. And we are going to stylize it a bit. How stylized? I'm not too sure just yet, but I definitely don't want to do like a super realistic wolf design, but I want to make sure that it's also animatable so that it's, so that it works still. I think I'm gonna put it, change the proportions a little bit. If you guys don't know what I'm using a software called PureRef, which was recommended to me actually by my lovely students who were like, hey, you don't have to post like your reference image on your actual workspace. You can just, have this thing called PureRef, which you could just have it on the side and it'll never go away when you work on Krita. So like right now I'm drawing, but like the window doesn't disappear. And I was like, you can just quickly drop the images in, you can adjust the size, and it kind of can go on forever, I think. So it's actually quite useful. It's been pretty good. I've been using it pretty much every time I'm drawing and I don't know how to draw something and I need references on the side. So PureRef has been great. So like I mentioned in the beginning, unlike Jesse, I don't usually draw that many animals. I pretty much only draw people, but every now and then I'll draw animals. So when it comes to animals and creatures, I do need to do a little bit more research. So in this case, I don't really draw wolves that much, so I'm gonna have to do some research on what wolves look like. So that's why Pinterest or Google is a good place to find it, like have like some start on how to like what a wolf would look like. BRef. No, it's PureRef. PureRef. That's what the program is called. So yeah, we're gonna do a design of the wolf, and before I guess doing the design, there's some things that I do want to mention when I'm keeping an eye on the design of the character. So we've done a human walk cycle before, and I've walked through, like, no pun intended, on how a walk cycle works. A walk cycle is pretty standard. We got a, person, and then we got the leg. I know this is not going to look the best, but I just wanted to demonstrate what I'm thinking about and working with when I'm going to be designing this wolf. And you might be like, oh, this is a human. Why are you using a human if you're going to be designing like a wolf character? And that's because when I'm designing the wolf character, I have to keep in mind of things like the joints, the size of the character, and whether it's going to work for animation. So I've said this before, but like 2D animation is basically all of the modern animation roles combined into one. In 3D animation, you have all these roles broken up as separate jobs, essentially. You have the character designer, who starts off with what the character will look like, and this person will pass it on to the modeler, who builds a 3D model of the character design as close as they can while maintaining the style, but making sure that it works three-dimensionally. And then once the model is done, they pass it off into the rigger. So the rigger is in charge of, like, let's say body mesh. So this is like how the body folds and bends and twists with like the skin and deformation in the face if they're making facial expressions. And then they're also in charge of the skeleton. So this is how they break it up into the bones of the character to make it bend and make sure that it works as the character is moving. And I think that's about it. These are kind of like the main roles when it comes to the rigging artist. And then after that, once that is done, they pass it off into the animator. So this is kind of like the modern pipeline for when it comes to a 3D animator. And each of these roles are different jobs that is provided to in the animation industry. But what's funny is that in old school animation, all these jobs, I would say, is actually the animator's job. Back in the day. I can't spell for the life of me. Animator. Okay, 2D animator. So, oh my goodness. So the 2D animator, funny enough, back then for 2D animation, it is all of these things. Don't worry, T-Mix, I'm not ignoring you, but like sometimes when I'm going through the lesson and I'm drawing, I'm not looking at the chat constantly. I'm kind of looking at my screen. So I'm not ignoring you, and I'm not ignoring chat in general. I'm just like looking at my screen and I'm doing my thing. Yeah. Digits of pi. Okay. How complicated 3D animation was and rigging animating. Yeah, there's a lot that comes with 3D animation. There's a lot of roles, but what's funny is that for a 2D animator, all these things are technically all in the same job. So when you're a 2D animator, you are the designer. You have to come up with what the look of the character is, their costume, their face design, the style even. But the character design itself also determines how, well, like character design and modeling is basically the same thing when it comes to 2D animation. But what's funny is that when you're coming up with these aspects as a 2D animator, you're essentially also figuring out how this character should move. So it's like, where are the joints? How are they going to bend? If you think about, like, let's say Aladdin from Disney, right? Like when he moves and he's twisting his body and he's turning his head, that is essentially the 2D animator figuring out how this character would move and bend, and that is the role and job of the rigger. The rigger is in charge of like where the joints will be, how they're bending and everything. And once they figure that out, they have to figure out how this character is going to be animated. So what's the personality? What is the movement? How smooth? Is it rough? Is it in stages? So it's funny how back then the 2D animator basically carried all of these roles. But because 3D animation is much more complicated and has much more specific niche requirements, these roles are now divided into all these different kind of facets. So it's kind of interesting seeing that. So that's why the reason why I'm bringing this up is because when I'm designing this wolf character, I'm not just designing the wolf character. I have to also figure out like where are the joints going to be? What's the weight of the character? How is this character going to move? And is it going to move properly for the way it's designed? So there's a lot of things to consider, not just the look of the character. Yeah. I love when these guys go live. Josh's voice is so sultry and smooth. Is it? Oh, well, thank you. I feel like I don't think my voice is, but maybe it's because I had coffee, so my voice is a little bit more lower maybe than usual, but thank you. I don't think it's that sultry and smooth, but I appreciate the compliment. Aladdin was a golden Disney movie, and T-Mix, you think it's meh? You know what? I need to rewatch Aladdin because Aladdin scared me as a kid. Like, you know the scene where, I mean, spoilers, I guess, for Aladdin, but you know the scene where Aladdin is thrown in prison and Jafar is pretending to be this old guy with like just disgusting teeth? Yeah, that scene scared me as a kid. And then when I was a kid, I'd be watching it in like the basement, and it was I don't know. I was kind of mortified from that. So I didn't watch it as much as a lot of other people. So I don't know. I've only seen it a few times. I do have it on Blu-ray, so I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it tonight. I'll go get some Five Guys and watch Aladdin tonight. Who knows? Okay, so now that I've gone through the whole kind of spiel about 3D and 2D artists and like what I'm thinking about as I'm designing the wolf character, when we go back to like the human character, there are a few joints, right? We got the hip, we got the spine for the person, how the head is pivoting, and then we also got like the arms, the elbows, and all these kind of different joints, right? To allow for the human walk cycle to work. So for the wolf, it's probably going to be the same thing too. I'm going to be paying attention to where the hip for the wolf is going to be. I'm going to pay attention to how I'm going to segment the waist of it. So this is more of like the pelvis. This is going to be like the waist. And then I'm going to have a larger kind of rib cage, because for dogs, their rib cage is quite huge in the front. It takes up a good amount of space. So this would be like the ribs. And then we have also like the neck, and then we got like the head. So I'm simplifying it a lot right now just so that I have an idea as to like what are the different components that I'll need to kind of figure out in the design of the wolf. And yes, I am taking a little bit longer than usual just because we actually have 2 weeks for me to animate this wolf. So I'm trying to take a little bit of a, just a little bit more of a sweet time to run through this. But yes, Aladdin is your favorite Disney movie? Really? Dang. Okay, wait, what's mine? Oh no, mine's Mulan. Hands down, Mulan is my favorite Disney movie, and it's not because I'm Chinese. It's a great movie. Like the art style is amazing, the songs are banger, and the story is just great. It's a solid story. Spoilers for the 3-year-olds who haven't watched it yet. Yeah, exactly. I don't know who hasn't seen like Aladdin. I mean, I'm pretty sure there are, but you know, who knows. You watched it in a basement. Well, it's because the TV and the VCR. Yes, I had Aladdin on VCR, and that's how I would watch it if I wanted to watch it back in the day. So the VCR and the TV were in the basement, so I could only watch it in the basement. So yeah, it was a little scarier for me, I guess. And then let's see, the legs. I always hate it. Every time I get an image, it's always oriented in the wrong side, and I don't want to bother thinking about it. So let me see. Can you not flip an image on? Here it is. Wait, what? Distribute hor. What does this mean? That doesn't mean anything. Can you not like flip an image? That's crazy. Does anybody know if that's possible? Oh, here it is. Okay. That's such a weird place to put it. Like, put it there. Oh, whoops. That's not what I wanted. That was the wrong image. I wanted to flip this one. Okay, cool. Love Big Hero 6, though it ain't. What do you mean? Big Hero 6 is a Disney movie. What? What are you talking about? Okay, so for a wolf, or for most like animals, limbs are broken just slightly differently from ours. So I'm just gonna draw it because the best way to learn. Okay, I know this looks weird, but I need to figure it out for my brain itself. Okay, so this looks more like a human leg. I know. Do not judge it for now. But for me, because I don't typically draw animals too often, I need to kind of learn how an animal's limb would be. And so I'm just manually breaking it up into different segments so I understand. I know this looks horrifying, but it's okay. It's you know, Halloween just happened, so it's not too big of a deal. But these are kind of these are the elements that I'll need to keep in mind. It's like, okay, we got the pelvis, waist, ribs, neck, head, and then the arms are also distributed in this interesting kind of manner. So I'm gonna have to keep these things in mind when I'm designing my character, but then also keep in mind like how this character will eventually have to move. So yeah, still have Aladdin on VCR. Oh man, dude, I had what is it, Bug's Life, Aladdin, Hercules, Mulan, Prince of Egypt on VCR, I think. And then Star Wars OG trilogy on VCR. And dude, I'm so sad the VCR broke, but honestly it wasn't the best way to watch it. The screen would be like kind of like shaking as you watch the VCR. So in a way, I guess it's not that bad. How do you guys feel about Wish? You know what, I have not watched Wish, so I don't know how like whether it's good or not. I've heard that it's not great, but I actually don't know because I haven't watched it. Yeah. Have you seen Moana 2? Did Moana 2 come out? Isn't it coming out this year? It's not out yet, I don't think. So I feel like Disney has not been pushing Moana 2, so I feel like I don't know how it's gonna do. Okay, so now that I have these kind of guidelines for me mentally to keep in mind, I'm gonna start designing the wolf character. And if you guys haven't watched Wolf Walkers or Puss in Boots, what is it, The Last Wish, I'm gonna kind of be going with that design element because I just like how boxy and the way it's shaped. So yeah, I'm gonna be using those. T-Mix, that is a bizarre question. I mean, if your eyes are bigger, do you see more? I that's an interesting train of thought and logic, but I feel like it doesn't quite make sense if you think about it. Like I don't think it clearly. I don't think it does. If people's eyes are wider, do they see more? Vision is just vision. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it does not. It's a funny curiosity. You know what? I applaud your curiosity, but I mean, you know what? I like to think about it this way. If you're ever curious or like about something, think about the opposite direction. So, yeah, it's I do appreciate curiosity because curiosity does, spur innovation, does spur the brain to think more about things. So I like that you're thinking, but yeah. Didn't Wish use AI? That's what I heard, but like I don't know if it's true or not. Like the whole AI thing. I kind of want to make the wolf bigger. Maybe. Might make the not bigger but longer. I kind of want to play around with like the lanky quality of the wolf. No, I've not said I must disappear. Oh, okay. Bye, Lycan Arts. Glad you were able to join us for a bit, though. My bad. Okay, so kind of like with humans as well, I think it's probably going to be a good idea to create a ground plane. And I want to feel out just how large I can have this dog's legs be. Or like how long I can push it. Yeah, and I am going to cartoon and stylize the way the leg looks, just so when things are stylized and pushed, you can kind of get away with a little bit more jankiness just because it's not realistic. The viewer is not going to go into it expecting realism. They're going to go in expecting it to be stylized and pushed and exaggerated. So it's I'd rather, since I don't, again, I'm not a animal expert, I think it'll be much easier for me down the road, as when I draw, I stylize it so it's easier to kind of like push. And I feel like the weight of this is a little bit odd, so I'm actually gonna push it back slightly. I'm just gonna move it here, but we'll see. We'll see how the weight goes. I feel like it's bending a bit too much. And maybe the leg here is a bit too angled, so it feels like the weight distribution feels weird. You can speak 3 languages? Nice, that's cool. I would like to be able to speak multiple languages. It's kind of funny because, like, the whole cliche is like how when you're a kid, when you're like Chinese, your parents make you take like Chinese school, but as a kid you're like, I don't want to take Chinese school, it's boring. But then now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, you know what? I kind of wish I paid more attention, or like I took it more seriously. So it's kind of neat. It's weird how things kind of change as you get older and your perspective adjusts. Let's see. I'm kind of figuring out like how big I want these hands, these paws to be. Josh spends his time learning shoe facts and playing volleyball and stuff. Yeah, there's already too many things to try to figure out. Like, drawing already takes up a good chunk of time. And then you're going to tell me, it's like, oh, by the way, also, learn languages. And then there's so many things. Let's see how. I feel like I need to find more reference images. I need more. The back legs walk like an ostrich, and the front legs like a human. Yeah, actually, that's brought up in Richard Williams' book. Actually, he goes like, when you're drawing a horse, he does this example. It is kind of funny, and he aligns them too, so you can see it, and it's funny how you can kind of notice that once he puts it together. Let me see. I'm gonna just more references, knowledge. I need more knowledge. Oh, by the way, did anybody go watch Look Back? If no one has watched Look Back, I highly recommend it. It's such a good movie. It was like, but I feel like it's not really anywhere anymore, unfortunately. It was kind of like a special, I guess in a way, special event in terms of like animation. So it was only on for a little bit, and then they took. I don't know if it's still in theaters right now. So that's the unfortunate aspect of it. But it was a really good movie, if anybody is curious about a movie to watch. This is a weird dog design. I feel like the head's too big. And I feel like I should make the head more upright first, rather than the way that it is right now. Russian, that's cool. I feel like I have no need to learn Russian, but that's cool that you know Russian. I do not know how that song goes, unfortunately. I'm sure it sounds amazing. I mean, like, I know who KSI is, I just don't know how the song goes. He's not really my preferred choice of music, if I were to be honest. I'm assuming then that you're British. Like, you brought up how like there's 5 guys in the UK, and you brought up KSI, so I'm assuming that you're British. It's not like a crazy, like, whoa, no way kind of statement, but yeah, you know. I also feel like, are you like a kid? I feel like a lot of things you brought up is like, it's very kid statements. No hate towards you though. It's interesting. This is my guess. This is my take on like the things that you've been saying. Trying to figure out like where the weight distribution should be. Maybe a bit more upright. I do want to have this like separation distinction for the legs and the leg shape, but we'll see. Is old, he won't understand your exactly. 99%. That's interesting. I think you're the first guy I've met who's like born in Russia. That's kind of neat. Stay good. You don't know. Stay curious. I mean, I don't know if that's just. I don't know if curious is the right word. I think it's more of stay ignorant is bliss. I was gonna say stay ignorant, but I feel like that's not exactly what it is. Ignorant is bliss, though, I guess, in a sense. But yeah, that's not really my kind of music, but it's okay. To each their own. I feel like music is so intimidating because, you know, when you go to the music store, I feel like instantly you're judged. But you know, if you went to a video game store and you bought a certain game, you'd be like, yeah, you know what, I like this game, you know, so what about it? But I feel like with music, it's like, oh, you listen to these people? Dang, let me introduce you. That's terrible. You have terrible music tastes. Let me tell you some like better music that you should listen to. And I'm like, I don't really, you know, it's okay. Don't judge me for the music. I just want to listen to what I want to listen to, you know. Look, stay ignorant. That's that's Steph. Yeah, exactly. Stay ignorant. Yeah. If I was a girl, dang, that's a crazy statement. I mean, then my voice has definitely not changed yet. I mean, that whole sultry thing that I guess doesn't really quite apply to me anymore. But no, I am not a girl, unfortunately. It's great disappointment. Very shrunkly. Am I the comedian? Am I the comedian of the group? I feel like Jesse's pretty funny. I don't know. Shrunkly wolf. I mean that in a good way. Therefore, we name the wolf Shrunkly. Wait, are you saying oh, skrunkly? Like, what does that mean? Like a skunk? Or I don't know. My inner music taste for that exactly, yeah. Going to a music store is kind of intimidating, especially when you like I like buying vinyls too. So when you go to a music store and then you like pick out an album and you're like, don't judge me for my music taste. I'm about to spend like, yeah, maybe $50 on this album, and maybe you don't approve, but you know what? Let me listen to what I want to listen to. And then I guess like maybe other people's advice would be like, well, you know what it means? It means just start listening to better music. Well, like, you know what? Music is just personal preference. You know, you can listen to whatever you want. This is just like my rant. I feel like it's such an old man being like, you know what? You just listen to whatever you want. It doesn't matter what you want to listen to, but yeah, I don't know. I had 6 cups of coffee, if you couldn't tell. I was like, oh man, I stayed up pretty late last night, so gotta have my coffee. So maybe that's why I'm like just jibber jabbering a lot. If you want to win any argument, just say something so stupid and confusing they have no way. That is true, yeah. What vinyls do I own, Josh? Oh, what was the last one that came? I just got the Mad Max Fury Road soundtrack. So that's awesome. I love the Mad Max soundtrack. That soundtrack is so good. Also, if you guys haven't watched Mad Max, I highly recommend it. Funny enough though, like I thought that movie was insanely boring the first time I watched it. I was like, oh, it's just these people riding in the desert. That's not interesting. And then I watched it again because my family didn't watch it. And then I was like, wait, this movie actually rocks. This is so good. And then now I just love it. It's one of my favorite movies ever, and the soundtrack is so good. Oh man, what is it? Is it Blood Brothers? Let me look it up real quick. Mad Max. If you guys have not listened to the soundtrack, it is so good. What is it? Storm is Coming. So good. Oh, Brothers in Arms. Brothers in Arms. Storm is Coming. Oh my goodness. It's such an amazing track. Honestly, the entire soundtrack is awesome, but like, ooh, it's so good. I'm trying to think. I think Many Mothers is also such a good emotional track. I get a little teary-eyed when listening to that one as well. What movie? Okay, wait. And then I also got the Dune Part 2 soundtrack too. That is also really, really good score. And I got the Oppenheimer soundtrack and the Scott Pilgrim TV show soundtrack. So I've been getting more soundtracks over albums. But the last album, what was the last album that I got? I think it might have been Black Pumas? Maybe? I can't quite remember. I haven't really bought that many albums in a while, so I actually don't really remember. But Black Pumas. A lot of movie soundtracks, dude. Movie soundtracks are the best because no one can judge you for movie soundtracks. I think that's why I'm just like, you know what? I'll buy whatever movie soundtracks. Taylor Swift. You know what? No, but like movie soundtracks, you can't go wrong with them because it's so subjective to a point where it's like, oh, but you can't deny that it's like good, you know. You think I'm too young? You're never too young for soundtracks, you know. Pirates movie. Oh, Pirates soundtrack is also amazing. Did you know the Pirates soundtrack is not by Hans Zimmer? For the longest time, I thought it was by Hans Zimmer, but it's actually not by Hans Zimmer. The first original, like the first movie, is by Klaus Badelt. I don't know how to say his name, but then after that, it's picked up by Hans Zimmer. But the first movie, like the main Pirates theme, is not by Hans Zimmer. It's by another dude. Yeah, it's crazy. The for the longest time I was like, oh yeah, it's by Hans Zimmer, but it's by a guy called Klaus Badelt. He came up with the original Pirates theme, and then Hans Zimmer, I think, like added to it, and he did like the David Dead Man's Chest sound like score as well. So it's a little bit different. Yeah. Scandal. Josh is your name because your parents names you Josh, or you called Josh because you were called Josh. That sounds like a 12 o'clock midnight kind of thought. What? I mean, I don't know. Who knows? I'm Josh because I'm Josh. That sounds like such an existential question. It's like, why are you called Josh? It's like, I don't know, man. Do you live up to your name, Josh? The way I'm phrasing this sounds like that. Have you guys seen that Lord of the Rings? Do you wear wigs? When will you wear wigs? Interview. I love that interview. That interview is amazing. Are you Josh or are you Josh? Exactly. Wait, I saw this thing. Someone says like scribbly. Scribblemouse, that is an adorable user. Oh yeah, what movie do I despise? Okay. I don't know if this is gonna be like I don't like Winter Soldier. I think that movie is like terrible. I don't know if that's a hot take, but I feel like most people like Captain America Winter Soldier. Like they think that's an amazing movie. It's like, oh, that's when Marvel like changed the formula and they did something different. And I'm just like, no, this movie is so boring. Nothing's happening in this movie. Even as a spy thriller, I'm kind of like, nothing's actually really happening. And then Black Panther. I didn't like Black Panther. Like I think, unfortunately, I don't know. It could be. I want to give Ryan Coogler the benefit of the doubt. I do feel like it's probably that he had a different story in mind, and then the studio was like, "Oh, by the way, we need this to happen by this point. So can you get this stuff like going?" Because I think a proper Black Panther movie would be to have Killmonger survive for 2 movies. I guess spoiler for Black Panther if you haven't seen Black Panther. But I think Killmonger should have been saved for like the second movie, be built up in the first movie, and have Andy Serkis's character be the main villain of the first movie, and then have Killmonger be the main villain of the second movie, but built up in the first one. So you have this nice crescendo for like this political kingdom takeover by Killmonger. Because the way the movie kind of just paces itself and structures itself with Killmonger, I'm just like, that does not make any sense. Like, what? The flow does not really check out. But yeah, that's kind of my take on it. I don't think it's like a terrible movie, but I think it could have been, it had so much potential to be like, I think amazing, but I think it kind of probably got, I wouldn't be surprised if you told me is like, oh yeah, I got muddled by like the studio. They needed this kind of timeline and time frame for Black Panther, so that's why these things had to happen. I wouldn't be surprised, because that kind of happens a lot with these types of movies. I'm just trying to add like kind of the underneath neck fluff. Like I have a corgi, and corgis are pretty much just like tiny, unintimidating wolves, and they, you know, my dog has this like nice fluffy fluff words, nice fluffy fluff underneath his neck that I kind of want to get in this drawing. Yeah, I don't know, something like this maybe. I'm like slowly designing and chipping away as to like what this wolf should look like. Maybe belly, maybe a bigger belly. I don't know. Let's see. Just fluffy spaghetti noodles. That's true. Yeah. I feel like the legs should be a little longer. I'm gonna make the legs a little longer. What a cute kitty I'm drawing. I know, right? Crazy. But yeah, I wouldn't say like I hate any movie. Usually it's just like, oh, that movie was boring, or it wasn't what I wanted it to be. But I wouldn't. It's kind of hard to like hate a movie. I think it's more just like I think it's overhyped. I could say that. I'm down to be like, yeah, I think Winter Soldier was overhyped, or I think it's not as good as everybody says it is, or yeah. But I wouldn't be like, I despise the movie. That's kind of harsh. That's hard to kind of, you know, to say. Okay, I think I'm gonna try to clean up the wolf a little bit. Animal Jam. I don't know what that is. Animal Jam. We'll see. Oh. this is like Neopets. Do you guys know what Neopets is? But it reminds me of Neopets. I know for sure Kevin's gonna know what that is. You don't mean that in a rude way? Oh no, that's fine. I'm still trying to figure out like what's the best proportion to go with for this wolf as well. So I'm not like settled exactly on like how it looks, but I'm trying to like get a feel for what I want. And I'm taking a look at like some other illustrations that people have done for wolves, just so that we have something to work with. But I'm quite, I feel like I've got something here. Like I would say this, for me drawing, if I'm especially drawing something I've never done before, I need to just draw it just to feel and figure out what it looks like and what's the baseline for what I can do with it. And then once I have that down, then I go in and start adjusting and tweaking and figuring out like what's the best approach for it. Because if I'm drawing something and I don't know what it looks for or what it should look like, it's hard to kind of just be like, yeah, this is what a wolf looks like, and I'm just gonna start animating it right off the top. But animating is a lot about understanding as well, like what something is. So it's like, oh, there's the shoulder right here, and then here's like the upper arm, like this is the shoulder blade, and then this is like the kind of, I guess, shoulder in a sense. We got the arm and like the wrist and everything. Like everything is different about a wolf or an animal in general, and I have to understand and learn like what that's supposed to look like. And so yeah, so I think what now I'm gonna just clean up the drawing and see if there's any other way to stylize and push it. Definitely know what Neopets is. True fluffy fluff. I'm trying. Only 3. Just they're existing. Yeah. I feel like I'm typing too much. Nah, there's never, no such thing as typing too much. Okay, I don't know if the head is too big. Part of me is like, I kind of like how, I do like the size of it, but part of me is like, maybe it's a bit too big. Maybe we'll not slim it down, but just truncate it and reposition it just slightly differently. I quite like this one. It could also just be like the head is a bit too high. I don't know. We'll see. The other thing too is like I have to consider how this is going to move when I am animating it, because for a character like a dog animation walk cycle, I have to keep in mind of like the head moving. So I guess kind of like what I mentioned before as like a rigging artist, I have to keep in mind of like the head is here, and then there's the body, like head is bending here, then we have the rib cage, then we have the waist, then we have, you know, then we have also the hip, then we have the legs. So like I have to keep in mind of like all these different components while animating and designing the character. So that's kind of why I'm trying to like figure out where the design should be and where I'm kind of breaking up these parts into the design so I can maintain consistency while I'm drawing it. Yeah. I decided to sketch with a ballpoint pen. Yo, I love sketching with ballpoint pens. Sketching with ballpoint pens is awesome. I love doing it. You don't draw with pen. No, you should draw with pens. I do it all the time. You gotta like push yourself when you draw with pens. It's like a great way of pushing your commitment levels to how something looks. Some people follow along. Yeah, you don't draw with pen. Oh yeah. No, I'm in digital and traditional artist, but I mostly just use pencil. Honestly, I think it's great to go back to being like traditional, because when you're traditional, you kind of push yourself to see things slightly differently, I would say. Because when you're a traditional artist, you're kind of forced to work with the limitations of a traditional, traditional limitations. You know, like you can't undo, you can't zoom in. Yeah. The only time I use pens is when I'm doodling absent-mindedly. Honestly, I kind of want to do that more. Like, I want to build up a habit of just sketching before I sleep and just doodling kind of mindlessly in a way. What is it? Just like drawing in public. Yeah, exactly. Storm is just me, but better. I mean, are you trying to draw as well? T-Mix? You trying to improve your drawing skills? I kind of want to make the head a little bit longer. Maybe. I feel like the snout would be too big though. You know what's crazy is that a wolf is one of the first things I tried drawing as a kid though. Like I loved wolves as a kid. So like wolves have always been like the first thing I tried to learn how to draw as a kid. No, we're pushing the limitations here. Pushing of the limitations of what we can go with for a design for a wolf for us to animate. Maybe a slightly bigger ear. I know this is not exactly what a wolf looks like, but you know, we're animating, so best to kind of, you know, experiment and play with the liberties of what we can get away with. Should I separate it into, let's see, have like maybe a head portion, something a little bit different. Yeah. Thank you. Bye, T-Mix. I do it in class. I never pay attention to the class. I'm too busy getting myself smothered in pencil. That's why you just wear a glove. Wear a glove while doing pencil drawings. That's what I do. I don't just like draw. I wear a glove. I don't just draw. I wear a glove. Maybe the eye should be closer. Ooh. Ooh. Maybe something like this. Come up with a look for the dog. It's like becoming less wolf-like and just more like a dog. Sorry all the people who voted for a wolf. Maybe the ear is a bit too big. I don't know. Trying to find a good balance of like what will work. That's actually not too bad. Is animating on Procreate a good idea? I heard that it's just different. There's definitely a learning curve to it. I unfortunately do not have an iPad, and I do not have Procreate, so I cannot give you an answer, but I've heard that it's pretty good. Some of the kids really love animating on Procreate, but it's definitely going to be a learning curve because the process is different. You don't really have what is it? You don't really have a a timeline. You don't have a timeline in the same way that you would for Krita. So you do have a timeline, but you kind of don't see everything all at once. So you have to kind of just plan it as you go. It's a little bit more in the moment when you're animating in Procreate. Maybe something like this. That looks pretty good. It's kind of difficult, but if you want to challenge yourself, you'll get good if you do it often. Balto. I don't know what Balto is, but that sounds neat. At first, I thought you were trying, like, you're mentioning the game, but like the card game. Dang it! Wait, does anybody know what I'm talking about? The Balatro. Is it Balatro? It's the card game that like came out not too long ago. Kevin, have you tried it? Has anyone tried that card game? I heard it's really, really good. I've been wanting to play it, but I have not had the time to play it, so. Unfortunately for me. Yeah, I'm surprised Quinn's not here. I wonder where Quinn is today. Kevin, do you know where Quinn is today? Whoa, Broken Wings is here. Dang. Hey, Broken Wings. What's up? That's true, too. I have all of, like, the main culprits from stream not here today. Quinn might be working. Whoa, really? Dang. Quinn got a job? It's awesome. Okay. So the reason why I'm drawing with like straight lines right now is because I want to get kind of like a very distinct cutoff point for the different elements of the wolf. So it's easier to keep track of in terms of like where they are and how they might bend and everything. But yeah, we're gonna see how well it works. So for today, because you know I spent a little bit more time on designing the look of the wolf and where things should be, I'm going to try to just get the block down for today, and then we'll do the cleanup and a continuation of the animation the next time we work on this. Yeah. Major flooding. Oh no. Broken Wings. Hope the flooding has been dealt with. Hope everything's okay and not too bad. Actually. Gonna make the... I realize, like, I'm looking at the wolf. The back is quite straight and aligned with the head almost. Like, yes, the head is still higher, but I'm noticing that it's quite high, which then also kind of makes me think, oh, the upper legs, or the back legs, not the upper legs. Back legs are maybe should be a little bit longer than the front legs, I mean. So, I don't know, might take that into consideration. Okay, I think this is like a not too bad go at a wolf. Whoa, Quinn! Quinn showed up. Did you show up just to be like when I made a comment about you getting a job? Quinn got a job. It's crazy. What that dog doing? Oh, dude, I love that video where the girl's like, "Can I pet that dog? Can I pet that dog?" I love that video. That video is so jokes. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? That "Can I pet that dog?" If you guys don't know, you guys should check out that video. That girl is so funny. Well, as a kid. Can I pet that dog? No. Can I pet that dog? I can't do the accent. I'm sorry. It's terrible. It's a terrible attempt. It's something that I would say. That's crazy. I would not say that if I saw a bear and I'd be like, "Can I pet that?" Okay, actually, you know, because of that video though, if I did see a bear, after we got away and we were safe, I would have been like, "Can I pet that dog?" Then I would say it. But that's crazy to like do that in the moment. I would not. I would be too afraid for my life to worry about cracking a joke about petting a bear. I'm getting the sickest tattoo. Oh, what are you getting? Did you design your own tattoo? Would you ever design your own tattoo and then go to the tattoo artist and be like, "By the way, I made this. Can you do it? Can you do this tattoo for me that I designed?" I would look the bear in the eyes and say, "Whoa, yo, that's crazy." I would not do that. I cannot publicly condone such behavior to go pet a bear. Can I pet that dog? Do you have a lot of tattoos? No, I do not. You know, some of my friends have been like, "Yo, Josh, you should be a tattoo artist." And then it's like, "Oh, but if I would feel weird if I became a tattoo artist and I didn't have a tattoo." You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you would need a tattoo. It's kind of like a, you know, a badge of you are a tattoo artist. Or I be the tattoo artist who just never gets a tattoo, you know. I'm clean. You know. "Oh yeah, you know Josh over there. He's the tattoo artist with no tattoos." I'm pretty sure there are tattoo artists without tattoos, but you don't need one. You don't know. You never know, Kevin. You know, like it might be like a thing. It needs to happen. Tattoo artists need tattoos. It's like the unspoken rule. They will not officially welcome you in until you get a tattoo. This is actually looking not too bad. Looking pretty. Can you imagine? Can you remember? This is what it used to look like, guys. I would love to be a tattoo artist. That's my dream job. Ooh. Go do it, Quinn. Be a tattoo artist. Josh wants. I don't. Okay, I wouldn't mind getting a tattoo. I just don't know what I would get. You know. No, that's that's terrible. Get it? No, not even that. Just get a tattoo on the forehead that says "tattoo artist" on it. Oh, that's awful, guys. Okay, I quite like this design. I think. Hope you guys can't hear the laundry in the back. It's yeah, with the laundry's happening in the back. So if you hear this kind of weird buzzing sound, which I feel like you shouldn't be able to, it's the laundry. Laundry is getting done in the back right now. Okay, that looks pretty good. Man, it's so weird seeing how like this is what it used to look like. and then now it's completely different. Now it's looking like a proper boy. Proper wolf right here. You should get a mirror. Oh my god, I get a mirror on my That's funny. I should get a bunch of shoes tattooed and a bunch of mirrors, tattoos, and volleyball tattooed on myself. And myself in the reflection. That is getting a little bit too self-aware. As I'm popping while getting tattooed. Where's the other leg? Where the other legs? No, we don't have to worry about the other legs. Okay, I think right now I quite like this. Maybe make the snout. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can make the snout maybe a little bit longer and see if that still works. Cause I feel like it's not stylized enough. You know what I mean? Like I want it super stylized. It's getting there though. It's getting there. It's tough because it's like, oh, I don't want to make it too complicated where it's gonna get out of control and I don't know how to animate it. But at the same time, I'm also like, I wanted it to be like crazy. I wanted it to be like wild. Let me see, maybe like starting to look more like a fox than a wolf. Yeah. Okay, Annika, I'm gonna run, but have fun. Looks awesome. Can't wait to see the final. Hey, thank you, Quinn. Bye. And don't know whoever it's called. It's all good, Storm. Thank you, though. Okay, I like this. I don't know if I should just go for it with the design that it is right now, or if I should, like, stylize it even more. We do have about like 45 minutes, so I do think I should just go for it. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna just try one thing. Just real quick. Before I continue, because I want to see if I can kind of get away, like, I don't know. What? Oh, Nightbot. Okay, bye. Thank you, Storm. Thank you for joining. What, Nightbot not working again, Kevin? Darn Nightbot. Darn Nightbot. Maybe I should... Okay, I'm thinking maybe make the pause bigger. Oh, I like that. Bigger pause. Let's see the pause. more stylized is kind of how I want it. Back paws, pretty much about the same size, I think. You know what? Yeah, I think we'll call it here. In terms of like the design, I think this is looking pretty good. I think I can work with this. I guess, and we'll start animating this one. Why is it? Okay. I think we'll start animating this one. I'm just going to quickly make it bigger, and I'm just gonna do some quick bone breakdown so I know what it should like look like, or like what I'm looking for in terms of like the bones and the connections for things. So the head is kind of over here. Then we get the neck. I'm trying to just figure out the shapes, the basic shapes, so I know what to kind of move around when the character is moving. And you can see that the reason why I went through that whole thing of just talking about animators and how they're kind of like rigging artists and modelers is because once you get the design down, you still need to figure out like, okay, how are things organized and moving around for like the character. So I'm trying to just make sure that it's understood in my own brain as to how this works. So like this comes forward, but then the lower one goes back, and like this. So like upper arm can go forward, this one bends back. Like I need to make it clear for my mind so I understand the mechanics of this wolf, and I understand like where things should go when things are moving around. So again, this part moves forward, and then this part goes back, right? Yeah, and then this section comes forward, and then the hands do what hands do. So I just need to make sure that I understand that this is how and where it's like segmented and broken down into, because it's gonna get, because essentially animating an animal walking is like animating two people walking side by side, kind of alternating in weight and steps. So I just have to make sure that I understand like what one half of the character is doing and then what the other half of the character is doing as well, so that I keep them in sync with one another and that they're moving properly in weight and mobility. Like the I can't remember what it's called, but like the motion of the character is consistent. And I understand what the body of a wolf can do in terms of like where the joints are, how it moves and everything. Like I need to make sure that I understand how it is, because drawing a human, like I got it for a human, like a two-legged bipedal character walking, like got that down. But for an animal, it's a little bit trickier, and there's a lot of things more to juggle. So you can kind of think about like with a human, you're, let's say, juggling 3 balls, but then with an animal, you're juggling like 5 balls at the same time. So there's a lot more to kind of figure out and pin down as you're animating it. Can draw them. Ooh, werewolves. I know it's cliche, but same. I love drawing werewolves and vampires. I mean, I still love drawing vampires, but yeah. Synchronous. Oh my god, I'm that kid meme where it's like, do you know what that do you know? It's like synchronicity. Oh my god, it's between front and back. Yeah, exactly. It's that. Many types of movement. Exactly. Yeah. So we got about like 30-ish, less than 30 minutes, so I'm going to just start animating. And now that I have the main pose down, this is what the drawing is. Should I clean this up? You know what? I'll clean it up. I'll clean it up a little bit just so that it's very clear as to what it is that I am drawing, and I'm not mixing up any of the designs and the lines. So I'm just doing a little bit of line cleanup right now, so that and making sure that the lines don't have too much thickness, or else it's gonna get a little confusing for me as I'm like moving things around, and I'll be like, oh, should the line be here or should it be here? So line thickness, that's gonna be something that we can incorporate afterwards, hopefully maybe in the cleanup stage. But for now, I'm just gonna try to make sure the lines are as uniform as possible so I can keep track of them much easily. And I'm just trying to simplify it. Synchronicity, I know. Don't worry, I got it. I figured it out. Synchronicity. But you know what's strange about like the English language is just like the emphasis of where you put the words, right? Because you could be like synchronicity, synchronicity. English. Love how it's so consistent. I love that video where the guy's going like, trying to like break it down to someone. It's like, oh, would, could, should. But then like, oh, what about this other word? How would you say it then? And it's like, mud? He's like, no, it's mold or like, or something. I can't remember what the words he used were, but it was really funny because it's like, yeah, that's true. In our brain, it makes sense because I guess if you grew up with the language, the weird inconsistencies of how English words are pronounced makes sense to you if you grew up with it. So to me, it makes sense. But then if you break it down for someone who didn't grow up with the English language, it is kind of like, why are there so many inconsistent pronunciation rules for English? Like what? But it's funny because like if you grew up with it, then it never crosses your mind as to how weird and inconsistent the word is, like the language is, until someone like shows it to you and like, wait, why? Why is the English language like that? So strange. Oh, this one on the left? This one is called Pure Ref. Oh, now that you bring it up, I realize I actually don't need it anymore. But yeah, this one's great because you could just basically click and drag any image from like Google or Pinterest into here without having to like copy and paste. Just click and drag. And then you can also save them. You can make them like larger, smaller, flip them around, and then you can also pin it so that whenever I click on Krita, it stays on top. But if you unpin it, obviously if I click on Krita right now, it disappears. But yeah, it's great. It's great for as like a reference, so you can always have it on without having to turn it on and off. Or like keep it on your canvas, which is something that I used to do until my students were some of them were like, hey, did you know there's this thing called Pure Ref that you could just keep on top and you don't have to actually copy into your canvas or your workspace? And I was like, wait, what? There is? Show this amazing tool to me. And yeah, that's how I found out about it. Yeah, Pure Ref is great. And it's technically for free because it's more of like a pay what you can or what you want for the program. By default, they do kind of put like a price kind of in a way, but you can say like, no, I do not want to pay anything. But so technically it is free, but you can contribute if you want. If you're feeling generous and nice. You can contribute. Always like that about companies, if they're like, hey, we made this thing for free, but you can help contribute if you'd like. I need to use it more. You make it sound like it's so hard to use. Yeah, I mean, I literally have it on my taskbar at the bottom, and I just turn it on or open it whenever I need it. And then because I usually look up images through Pinterest. You can just click and drag. It's not too difficult. But I get it. Like with art, sometimes it's just more of like getting into the habit of how to use things. So yeah. I am so happy that we have 2 weeks to work on this because I really like this drawing, and gonna give me a chance to really like spend time on the animation and get some good time to analyze and solve how this should go. So yeah, so if you guys didn't know, this one is going to be two-parter. So that's why I was like, okay, this week, or like for this session, this stream, I'm gonna treat it as more of like a design and character and like block-in kind of stream. And then the next one will be cleanup and adding a bit more in-betweens and smoothing it out and everything. Because the human walk cycle, that one's a little bit easier, quote unquote, to figure out, whereas with this one, it's gonna be a little bit tougher. So yeah. Okay. So like usual, what did I want? Ground plane. So this one's gonna be my ground plane, and I think I'm gonna should I? Sure, we'll just do OG wolf, and then I'm just gonna duplicate it. Animated wolf, just so that I like if I make a mistake, I have the OG, you know, there to work with. But yes, we're gonna get the good old ground plane. Oh, whoops. Good old ground plane. It's pretty good. I guess I'll just shrink or move the feet a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. Next one, cool. Thank you, Kevin, for putting it there. And let me see if there's anything else I need to just check. I think that's about it. I guess we can start blocking it in. Okay. So, what was this? Don't need that. I'm just gonna move these up. Okay. I'm gonna start animating. Yeah, Kevin, do you have any vinyls? Do you collect any? You know, good old 45 frames is always my go-to. It's not like anything special, but it's just how I like it. Yeah, cool. There we go. Gonna start animating the wolf now. I'll take some pics, post in the member chat. Hey. Yeah, I have a... Ah, man, there's so many that I haven't had a chance to listen to. Like, I still haven't finished listening to Dune, like the Dune soundtrack. And I've just gotten so lazy with setting up my... Like, I need to dust my record player and, like, the amps and everything, so... But I do want to listen through. the Mad Max soundtrack, and I do want to listen through the Dune soundtrack. So yeah. Okay, so this is kind of our reference, or like our base wolf, and I'm gonna get into its starting position. So the approach that I'm going for is very much just pretty much relying on Richard Williams' approach to animating a bipedal basic walk pattern, or not bipedal, quadruped animal walk cycle. And I'm gonna just be relying on that because that's kind of would be the one that everybody else would have access to and can kind of rely on as well. And it's, if you're trying to learn animation in general from a basic standpoint, like basic kind of good foundation to start off with, you can't go wrong with Richard Williams. Basically, pretty much almost every person starts off animating using Richard Williams, and even if you go to an animation art school or take one of my classes, it is still also using Richard Williams because he's basically just normalized and streamlined a very reliable way of approaching animation. But the thing is that animation is hard, and sometimes reading a book and just relying on a book is also hard. So having that kind of back and forth with the teacher to break it down and walk you through it, and also just having another pair of eyes to just check whether it's working or not, is a reason why having a class for animation is also useful. So yeah, it's a lot more work than Spotify. yeah, definitely for sure. Also, like the Scott Pilgrim like soundtrack as well. I have not had a chance to really listen to that. Okay, let's see. Let's go with the starting pose. Oh, you know what? He has two ground planes. I guess it's just to show. Yeah, you know what? He has two. I guess I'll have two as well. It's, I don't really want to have two, but I guess we'll do two. Okay, so I'm just gonna move my keyboard down here so it's easier to select things. I'm just gonna use the lasso tool for now for the first few poses, so it's easier to, it's easier for me to just get the pose started. But after that, we are going to be freehanding it. But I want to have a good base first, so I understand what I'm working with. I'm also just going to erase the tail. It's going to be the good old animation approach. Tail, I think I'm just going to worry about and add on later, because it's too much work. Too much work to try to get the tail going. Something like that, maybe. Check out our classes, yeah! You know what, I'm gonna bring back the OG wolf. Just have it. And I'm gonna color it red, just so it's easier to differentiate between the two of them. And like what's changed. Like how I've changed it, and so I can also rely on it afterwards. But I'm gonna make it really light so I don't pay too much attention to it. Oops. Yeah, because size inconsistency is kind of like one of the biggest things that's hard to just get right and master for animations. So I just want to make sure that I have it kind of nailed down. So kind of like the bending in the foot, in the toes, get that kind of down. Okay, and the next one is over here. Kind of the arm just slightly back. Then we're gonna take this part. And now we're gonna have to kind of wing it a little bit. Not too much though. Just a little bit to get a proper feel for the shape of the wolf. And so that's why I'm kind of glad that I did like a cleanup of the lines so that it's easier to keep track of like how things are moving. I should have adjusted the foot though so that it's flat. Okay, so I think that's about it for the front side. Okay, there's that. Okay. Then I'm gonna wing, or not wing, but try to just freehand a bit of the other arm. And again, if anybody's kind of like, oh, what are we, like, you missed out, and you're like, oh, what are we doing right now? Essentially, just trying to get a feel for the first stages of a wolf walk cycle. Maybe something like that. Just turn into stream. I like the way you stylized the wolf here. Oh, thank you, Novata. Thank you. Appreciate the love. Yeah, I wanted something that wasn't like too realistic, but was still stylized enough. So, yeah, glad you like it. I think it turned out pretty good too. Since you said that you just tuned in, I encourage you to check out what it originally looked like, because man, it was the first initial kind of breakdown of the wolf was kind of rough. So yeah, it's gone through some changes. It's looking a bit more like a hoof. So I'm gonna see if I can adjust it a little bit. Hey, that's not too bad. Seems pretty good. Just want to check if the paw size is correct. And I think I made it just a little bit too big, so I'm shrinking it down. And now we're gonna draw the other side. Oh, I realized I drew the wrong pose. Dang it! I just like, oh, this turned out pretty good, and then I realized I drew the wrong pose. So that was not the starting pose. Starting pose actually would have the hand, the other arm, be a little bit further back. That would have been a good. Oh man, that was such a good start. I was like, yeah, this is looking pretty good. This is looking not too bad. And then messed up. Actually, also I think based off the proportions of like how I've drawn the wolf, I do feel like it might be a little bit higher, just because the dog that Richard Williams is using is a little bit smaller, whereas my wolf's proportions are bigger. So I'm kind of using like the bones and my fingers just to track like roughly where these things would be if it was moving kind of in the back. So I think it would be kind of here. Something like this, maybe. So something like that. So it's only clean now because I have the base drawing, but this is gonna get quite messy afterwards, so yeah, prepare for it to not look this clean. And I'm drawing through just so that I have proportions kind of understood for myself, and I have a breakdown of it in my like process and in my head. So what we're doing right now is very similar to the human walk cycle, where we're trying to get like the contact pose, but the interesting and what makes a quadruped kind of animation harder and trickier is that you can kind of think of, and I mentioned this before, but essentially the body is broken into two walk cycles. You have the front half that's doing a passing pose first, and then in the second half, the back half is doing a down pose simultaneously. So the front part is ahead of the back half of the leg, and it's going kind of back and forth, kind of like what Broken Wings mentioned of like that asynchronicity of it. So they're not doing the same exact movements, at least not for a basic walk cycle. So that's kind of the tricky part right now, is to just make sure that I have that kind of rhythm and weight to it. And that's going to be the hard part for doing an animal, is the weight of the creature. Or he's not a creature, it's like a wolf. So getting the weight of it down, that's going to be the part that I'm quite nervous to see if I can pull off, which is the weight of the walk, which is not easy to pull off necessarily. So this is what we have, and honestly, I might do a very, 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 very heavy emphasis on the very light shading, so that this way I can keep track of where the back leg is. So this is my back leg, and Richard Williams does this as well, so you can visually distinguish between the two. But I think I'm going to actually do this on the walk cycle so I can also visually distinguish which leg is which, because that's kind of also a thing that happens with two-dimensional walk cycles, or side profile walk cycle for a human, is like when that switch with the legs happen, that part gets a little tricky. So yeah, and can you imagine, this is just the first it's just the first pose. Oh boy. Okay, let's see how I want the tail. So the tail should be kind of moving back and forth. Let's see, how do I want the tail to be? I don't want anything like fancy with the tail, so I might just have it also moving. Maybe it's like down. It's down. Maybe it's like this. So the tail, I think I can be a little bit more generous with how proper the leg, or not the leg, the tail is gonna wag. So that part, I think I can be a little bit more like, it's fine if it's not exactly like the way it is in Richard Williams' book. But hello, T-Mix. Welcome back. I thought you were going to bed. I'm assuming that it's quite late for you. It's probably like, what is it? Actually, probably it's just like 10 o'clock, isn't it? If you're in like Europe, or I'm assuming you're in Europe, so I'm gonna guess that it's like 10. Only 9? Oh, it's only 9? Oh. I mean, yeah. I mean, it makes sense because it's like 5-6 hours ahead, so yeah. Guys, I've been here the whole time. Shadow. Well, I just read that, Shadow Beam. Well, thank you for hovering around. Yeah. Okay, we got one pose down. Woo! The name of Richard Williams, the guy who is kind of like the one that everybody uses to learn how to animate. That guy. Yeah. Okay, so we got this is the pose, but now what I have to do is also. So, if you guys have been watching my like if you've ever watched a walk cycle tutorial, and for when I do it, I kind of just go pose by pose by pose, like just moving forward. So with the human pose, it goes usually like, or maybe I won't use this one. It usually goes contact, then down, then pass, and then up, and then back to contact. But that's because I've animated a human walk cycle quite a lot, enough that I know how those poses should look every time I do it. But I don't really do that for animals. So the usual proper way to start a walk cycle, and if you've never done a walk cycle before, you actually don't want to do contact and then do the down and then pass and then up, because it's harder to keep track. So actually what you want to do is start off with the key poses. So a contact pose would be a key pose, and then I forgot what it's not an in-between. Oh my goodness, terms, cannot remember the terms for the life of me. It's like transitioning poses. The transitioning poses, the connecting poses, but not the in-between. Oh my goodness, this is why I like tests. I'm so happy I don't have to do tests and exams anymore. But basically, the contact pose is a key pose. It's a main pose, but the down, passing, and up, they're transitional poses. So you actually usually skip these and you only do the key poses first. So that's what I'm going to do with the wolf first, because I don't usually animate wolves or animals in general. I'm going to have to learn and figure out like what its key poses are, and then I'll do all the down, passing, and up maybe like I guess next week. So I'm just gonna do it maybe on the, let's say, the 11th frame, because that's kind of how Richard Williams has it. And I'm actually not going to redraw it because that would be too much time. I'm just going to duplicate it, and I'm going to turn off the onion skin, and I'm just going to flip it. So now I'm going to redraw it. It's going to get a little confusing. This is why I hate doing these kind of like switches, because it's so like it's so confusing. There's too many things to juggle. Actually, I'm not going to turn off onion skin, because it'll be easier for me to redraw these. Okay. Never lift their hooves midair, and he took a motion photo to prove his power. Really? I feel like I've heard that story before too. Bets, honestly. It's like, I'm not endorsing bets, but you know, sometimes putting something on the line forces you to like really, like, it makes you kind of put an effort into it, which is kind of how things, I guess, get innovated to a certain degree. So basically I'm gonna trace this hand now, because now this hand is the one that's in front. This hand is what's kind of doing what the other side was doing, and then now this part is the one that's in the back. So I'm just gonna draw it like this, and then I'm also gonna take the gray tone and shade it in, just so that again I can keep track of which hand is which, or like which is in front and which is not in front. Man, I know we're not sponsored by XP Pen right now, but I love the new tab. They gave me a new tablet. I don't know if we were supposed to like hold that off actually, but I'm pretty sure we announced that I got a new tablet. But basically this new tablet, it has like a wheel, and oh my goodness, this wheel is so convenient now, because I can just scroll to change the size of my brush whenever I want. And oh my goodness, it's so convenient. It's nice too, because you get a little bit of like a feedback, a haptic feedback, so to speak, of like how, of like when it like changes, and like you're changing like the size of the brush. It's kind of nice. So this tail is technically in the in front of the back legs, so I'm gonna have to just change it a little bit so it matches. I'm gonna also have to make this just slightly higher. Trying to erase it, kind of similar to how like the original animators would have to adjust things as well. Like if you made a mistake, traditionally you're gonna have to erase it. There's no easy way of just being like, oh, we'll fix it in post. It's like, no, you gotta change it now. Okay, so as usual, if you haven't been to like any of my streams before, this took way longer than I thought it would be. So spend an hour kind of figuring out the design of the wolf, and then spend another hour trying to figure out and getting the contact pose. So this is what we have so far, and this is how you would usually do a walk cycle. And because beforehand, like I said, with a human walk cycle, I usually do the contact, then the down, and then passing, and then up, and then back to contact. That's technically not the official proper way to do a walk cycle. You actually want to do contact, the main contact starting pose first, and then do the switch so you have a trajectory, because both of these contact poses are the key poses, and then the down, passing, and then up poses, these are transitional poses. So those you want to fill in afterwards. So those I might just do, like, we'll see if I have time before the next stream. I'll try to like do it maybe off screen and then do the transitional poses, so that way next week I have enough time to actually do the cleanup and the actual animation of it. But yeah, I would say like we're pretty much near the end of stream, so yeah, spend the time because it'll pay off next time. Yeah, so like now I basically will have 2 hours to just animate the walk cycle, whereas today was focused on more of like getting the proper drawing down, getting the technicalities of it down, the joints and all of that. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, I actually think I might end it here. Well, end maybe a little bit sooner, since we also kind of started a little bit sooner. But thank you everybody for joining us. I see this like some people have to also go. Bye, Josh. I'll be back. Maybe not today. I mean, you're leaving at like the perfect mode because it is pretty much the end of stream. So yeah, bye, Shadow Bean. Hope everyone had a good Halloween. I unfortunately did not do anything for Halloween, but my sister was downtown, and I did not know that downtown Toronto does like Halloween on the streets. Apparently, like what, College and Wellesley or something, they do, like people are just out on the streets with costumes, just walking around taking photos of people. It's almost like a cosplay session downtown, so that's kind of neat. But that looked fun. But I didn't do anything for Halloween. Hope you had a good Halloween though. But yeah, we'll call it here. That's kind of the end of our stream. This is what I have. Just the drawing of the wolf and then 2 contact poses. But I think overall this looks pretty good. And I'll post these onto Discord after stream as well. That's usually how it goes. But I'll also include like the original drawing of the wolf, like this one. I'll include also some of like the roughs, like these notes that I had, as well as like this, maybe like this breakdown of it and the original rough. It's kind of neat to see like how this is what it originally looked like. Like seeing the different stages and steps of what this wolf originally looked like, it's kind of neat. Here it's riding on its back. And then this was the original, wait, no, this was the original drawing of the wolf. Just like, dang. This is how far we've come, guys. This is how far we've come in terms of the design of the wolf. Yeah. Take care. Yeah, take care, everybody. I'm just gonna do the closing statements, and then yeah, we'll kind of we'll call it end it here. I'll leave this here because I think this is kind of funny. Like this is where we started from. But hello everyone, and thank you for joining our stream. If you just joined us, sorry it's the end of the stream, but thankfully thankfully, you guys will have the VOD afterwards. So if you missed the stream or you're just catching the end of it and you're like, oh no, it's over, don't worry, the VOD will be uploaded the moment stream is over and you'll be able to watch everything that I did. So if you guys don't know who we are though, we are Wing Canvas. We are a YouTube channel where we make art tutorial videos on tips, tricks, and drawing advice to better help our fellow art nerds in this art community of ours. Our mission at Wing Canvas is to make art education easily accessible to everyone, so be sure to tune in live for free lessons every Saturday and Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so remember that it's 3 p.m. Eastern, not just make sure your time zone is correct. But if you are an art nerd too, be sure to check our links to our social media in the description below. And check out our website for class offerings where you can get critique, guidance, and encouragement from our instructors, because we're not just a YouTube channel, we're a school of illustration as well. I also want to personally thank our Patreon members and YouTube members who support us making free art education content possible. Members get access to a ton of perks, such as exclusive chats with our creators, weekly live critiques on Discord, class recordings, digital artworking files from our streams, and discounts on live programs that have limited amount of spots. If you want to help support the channel or accelerate your learning, consider becoming a member. And on my screen right now, this is kind of like the dates for when our live critiques happen. Each of us kind of cycle once every week. So usually I think it starts off with Jesse on the first week of the month, second week is Iggy, third week is me, and then Faye is the last week. And these are kind of our critique dates. So I don't know, or I guess if you want to check out the dates, join our Discord, because Kevin posts our live critiques on Discord at the start of or at the end of the month. So mine, I believe, is on the 20, let me check. Was it on the 23rd, Kevin? Let me just check. Let me see. I guess you might have posted it, I guess, because I'm like trying to figure out like what my date is. But I think it's like November 23rd, I think. Yeah, so that's when I'll go live and I'll give you like live feedback, but this is only for Patreon members only. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be giving live critique to everybody, but only for certain tiers on our Patreon. I believe VIP and above. But correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin. But yeah, so if you do want the live critiques, unfortunately, you will have to be part of the Patreon members or else you can't do it. But I do highly recommend it. I go over a lot of students' work and it's a lot of fun. We end up kind of just chatting afterwards after the critiques. So if that sounds interesting and you want some kind of like live feedback, that's kind of one way to do it. And each of us kind of cycle. So if you're like, oh, I only want Iggy to critique me, then check when the dates for Iggy's live critiques will happen, or for any of the other instructors that you're curious of getting feedback from. But yeah, that's kind of the end of it. Just gonna turn this off and go back to the original animated wolf. This is kind of it. Thank you everybody for joining our stream. That's gonna be the end of it. But yeah, hope you all have a good weekend and enjoy the rest of the day or night or whatever time zone you guys are in. And I'll see you the next time for when we actually animate the wolf and do all the in-betweening and smoothing and cleanup. Yeah, good night everybody. Bye bye.